morning everybody, it's Donna from Enchanted Gardens, just doing a little quick bit of filming on the seasonal fungus that we will all be experiencing as gardeners. We are in September, so last year we had torrential rain beginning in a few weeks that didn't seem to stop. This year we've just had lots and lots of hot weather, which has meant the soil is really very, very dry, followed by a little bit of rain, just enough to keep the plants going. But it does mean that this is, as well as being the opportunity for those of us who collect mushrooms and edible fungi, it's also time for Mother Nature to extend the level of fungi that is within our garden, in our borders, on our garden plants. So I'm just going to give you the information. It's not suggesting that you no longer buy fungicides, whether organic, environmentally friendly as per the label, or synthetic. All I'm saying is this is the truth of what is contained within them, so that you can make your own informed choice. So the reason I would suggest that you don't use fungicides is fungicides can harm the soil, so they can affect the microbiomes within the soil, and that will leach into the ecosystem, which is your garden or your countryside, or your food, and that is something that we can't change. It is in the soil, and the overall soil health deteriorates from use of fungicides. Biodiversity. Fungicides reduce biodiversity. Full stop. Fungicides found in aquatic systems. So remember, you've put the fungicide all over your plant and your shrubs. It goes into the water table via the soil. It absolutely damages the watercourse when it enters. We're already dealing with terrible pollution levels in all our rivers, streams, and within our water table itself, because we're using too many chemicals. So it affects all aquatic systems as well. If you have a pond with fish in it, if you're not careful and you use fungicides within your garden environment, all your fish will suffer and possibly be very poorly, if not dead. Now, invertebrates. Invertebrates are pollinating insects, which is what I communicate via. It can impact, a fungicide will impact the gut microbial fungi fauna. So what bees, wasps, all pollinators have in their stomachs is directly impacted by the fungus, by the fungicide. And it makes them infertile, unable to forage correctly, unable to communicate correctly. It's like expecting you to behave normally when you're suffering from a really nasty stomach bug. All you can do is lay down and take antibiotics. And of course, we can't give antibiotics to any of our pollinators, so it will affect them and it won't be good. And then we have fungicide resistance, which is apparently present in species within our farming. So farmers are obviously using synthetic fungicides because we farm the way we farm, and that means that the very funguses that they're spraying against are becoming resistant, just like we can be with certain antibiotics. It's because of overexposure and overuse. So from eating food that has been extensively sprayed with fungicides, we have an increased risk of chronic illness. Whether or not that is recognised within the UK, I've gone through the data that we have here, and all I can find is one research project that wasn't carried out in the UK, comparing synthetic fungicides, which we can buy, or environmentally friendly fungicides as on the label. And what they're saying is, when you consider the exposure to the invertebrates, the soil health, there's not a great deal of difference, if any. The thresholds for potential risks for adult honeybee workers and potential for chronic risk of wild bees was found in a great many fungicides. This report is stating 12. Mortality should not be the only parameter considered when assessing the risk, and the stages of bees developing, queens, etc., and the effects that it has on behaviour and colony development. So that was a little hoverfly just getting in on the picture. It's not conclusive, and the report from these scientists is saying that based on their findings there are huge knowledge gaps and many future directions to advance the exposure of understanding of exposure to fungicides in pollinating insects. So in all, I would suggest that we go back to the common, traditional, normal, roll your sleeves up and get on with it in our gardens. If you have roses with black spot, take the leaves off. If you have plants with powdery mildew, take the leaves off. Fungus requires certain conditions to thrive. Warm, humid, moist. That's what we've got right now, as we always will have at certain times of the year. So the best thing for you to do, I know I always encourage you to be really, really untidy, and the more untidy you are as gardeners, the better. But this is an instance where I would ask you to be really, really tidy and have good husbandry and housekeeping skills with all your garden plants. It's not just removal of the leaf from the plant. If you have something that's suffering, if the leaves drop onto the border, the soil, the bare soil, the leaf matter or the mulch that you've applied, the fungal spores will simply jump around and develop, going back onto the plant that they've fallen off and all the surrounding plants. So it's vital that you remove the leaves, even if it means defoliating. Remove the leaves and dispose of them carefully, not in the compost heap. Otherwise you'll end up with a compost heap full of fungus that's not great. So that's about it. I'm ready to go now. I'm going to have another cup of tea and just sit for another few minutes. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.